Thank you for joining me. We are learning Berachos Daf, page 25, starting 25a1. Avali spalal, but for prayer atichasas libo, he is not suitably clothed until he covers his heart, i.e. his torso as well. Another statement by Rav Huna, V'amar Rav Huna, and Rav Huna also said, Shachach v'nichnas b'tfilin l'beis hakisei. If one forgot and entered a latrine with his tefillin on in order to defecate, maniach yado alein ad sheyigmor, he should place his hand over the tefillin until he finishes. The Gemara clarifies Rav Huna's statement. Ad sheyigmor talkadatach, does it enter your mind that one may remain in the latrine until he actually finishes? Of course not. Elokad Amar Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak, rather that it is as Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak said, Ad sheyigmor amid rishon, one may stay there until he completes the first discharge. The Gemara wonders why one is permitted to remain in the latrine at all. To let him interrupt immediately and arise from there. The Gemara answers, Mishum d'Rabban and Shimon ben Gamliel. It is necessary that he complete the first discharge on account of the teaching of Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. The Tanya, for it was taught in a Brisa, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says, Amud hachozer maybe as Adam Lideya Idrokan. A forced back discharge of excrement brings a person to suffer from dropsy. The note number 3 says this is a sickness that causes the stomach to swell. Rashi. Silon hachozer mevias ha'adam lidei yirokan, and a forcing back of urine in the urinary duct brings a person to suffer from jaundice. The Gemara continues to discuss the subject of reciting prayers in unclean situations. It has been stated, Sa'al b'sara, where there is excrement in one's flesh, or yada monachas beveis hakisei, or one's hand is resting in the airspace of a latrine. Rav Huna Amar, Rav Huna said, Motar l'kros kriya Shema, is permitted to recite the Shema. Rav Chisda Amar, Rav Chisda said, also l'kros kriya Shema, is forbidden to recite the Shema. The Gemara now explains these opinions. Amar Rava, Rava said, my time is Rav Huna. What is the Rav Huna's reason for ruling leniently? The Sefer is written, Kol haneshama tahalel, all that breath shall praise God. All that breathe shall praise God. The Gemara now explains the second opinion. Rav Chisda Amar, and Rav Chisda said, also l'kros kriya Shema, he is forbidden to recite the Shema where there is excrement on his flesh or his hand is extended into the airspace of a latrine. My time is Rav Chisda. What is Rav Chisda's reason? For it is written, Kol atzmosai tomarna Hashem mi kamocha. All my limbs shall exclaim, God, who is like you. The Gemara continues its discussion concerning prayer in unclean areas. Itmar, it has been stated, Reach ra sheyesh lo ikar, concerning a putrid odor that has, i.e. emanates from a tangible source. Rav Huna Amar, Rav Huna said, Marchik arba amos v'kora kriya Shema. One need only distance himself 4 amos from the source of the odor and may then recite the Shema. Rav Chisda Amar, but Rav Chisda said, Marchik arba amos mimakom shepasak horeach v'kora kriya Shema. One must distance himself 4 amos from the place where the odor has dissipated, and only then may he recite the Shema. The Gemara adduces support for Rav Chisda's view. Tanya Kavasi de Rav Chisda was taught in a Brisa in accordance with Rav Chisda. Lo yikra adam kriya Shema. One should not recite the Shema in unclean situations. Lo keneget soas adam, not opposite human excrement. V'lo keneget soas klavim, nor opposite dog excrement. V'lo keneget soas chazirim, nor opposite swine excrement. V'lo keneget soas tarnagolim, nor opposite chicken excrement. V'lo keneget soas ashba. 25a2. Sreichosh ra, nor opposite a trash heap whose odor is putrid. But if any of the above was situated in a place 10 tfachim high, i.e. higher than his position, or namachasar tfachim, or tfachim, or 10 tfachim low, i.e. lower than his position, Yosha B'tzida V'Korah Kriya Shema, he may sit alongside that place and recite the Shema. Since the excrement is considered to be in a separate domain, the imlav, and if the excrement is not located in 10 tefachim above or below his position, marchik malo einov, he must distance himself from it to a point where it is no longer within eyesight, and only then may he recite the Shema. V'chein l'tfilah, and so is the law for the Shemona Esrei prayer. The Brisa to this point has discussed the law for excrement from which no odor reaches him. The Brisa now concludes, Reach ra sheyesh lo ikar, and in the case of a putrid odor that has, i.e. emanates from a tangible source, marchik arba amos mimkom hareach v'korah kriya shema, one must distance himself 4 amos from the place where the odor has dissipated, and only then may he recite the Shema. This final statement of the Brisa corresponds with Rav Chisda's view. The Gemara presents a dissenting opinion regarding one statement of the aforementioned Brisa. Amar Rava said, Le'silchasa ki hamas nisa shmaita. The law is not in accord with this aforementioned Brisa, Eloki hadatanya, but with this other Brisa, which states, Lo yikra adam kriya shema, one should not recite the Shema in unclean situations. Lo keneged soas adam, not opposite human excrement, v'lo keneged soas chazirim, nor opposite swine excrement, v'lo keneged soas klavim, nor opposite dog excrement. Bisman shenasan oros l'tochana, and these prohibitions apply only when one placed hides in them for tanning purposes. However, if no hides were placed in them, one is permitted to recite the Shema, since in the absence of hides, these excrements do not emit so foul an odor. The Gemara now discusses the subject of odors that do not emanate from a tangible source. They inquired of Rav Sheshes, Reach Rasha in lo ikar ma'u. What is the law regarding a putrid odor that does not have a tangible source? These flatulence. Is one required to distance himself from such an odor in order to recite sacred text? Who Rav Sheshes said to them in reply, Asu chazu hane tzife divei Rab. Come and see these mats at the study hall, the honey ganu v'hani garsi. While these students are dozing, others are allowed to study Torah. Even though it is normal for a sleeping person to bask wind, from here we see that studying Torah is permitted in the presence of a foul odor emanating from an intangible source. The Gemara elucidates and qualifies this conclusion, V'hani mili b'divrei Torah, and this ruling, which allows holy utterances in the presence of a foul odor emanating from an intangible source, applies to Torah study, kriya Shema lo, but not to the recital of Shema, b'divrei Torah nami, and regarding the uttering words of Torah as well. Lo amar and ela dechavre, we have stated the leniency only in the case of one's fellow's flatulence, however, in the case of one's own flatulence, even Torah study is not allowed. Further discussion of the subject of reciting the Shema in unclean situations. Itmar, it was stated, so veris, in a case of passing excrement, Abaya said, Motor likros kriya Shema, one is permitted to recite the Shema. Rava said, also likros kriya Shema, one is forbidden to recite the Shema. Abaya cites his source for his opinion. Amar Abaya said, Mina aminallah, from where do I know to say this? That nan, it is as we learned in a Mishnah, 25a3. Hatami omitachas ha'ilin, if a Tami person is standing under a tree, Torah over, and a Torah person passes underneath that tree, Tami, the latter is Tami. Torah omitachas ha'ilin, if the Torah person is standing under the tree, Tami over, and the Tami person passes underneath, Torah, the former remains Torah. However, if the Tami person stops and stands under the tree, Tami, the other one is Tami. And so is the law in the case of someone carrying a stone from a house contaminated with taras. If the carrier of the stone is standing under the tree, Tuma is transferred from the stone to anyone passing under the tree. But if the carrier is passing under the tree, the stone does not transmit Tuma. Thus we see that a moving person or object is not legally regarded as being present in any location. One would therefore be permitted to recite the Shema while excrement is passing in front of him. Rava refutes Abaya's proof. Rava Amalach, but Rava could tell you Hasan Bekviu Satalia Milsa, there the matter of transmitting the Taras Tuma is dependent on the permanence of the source. Tichsev, as it is written, Badad Yeshev Michutz Lamachane Mashavo, he shall dwell in isolation. His dwelling shall be outside the camp. The word dwelling suggests permanence and indicates that a Mitzorah's Tuma is transmitted only when he is stationary. Hacha Bahaya Mechanecha Kodosh Amar Rachmana. Here, however, the Merciful One said, and your camp shall be holy, Holeka, and in the presence of this, albeit passing excrement, there is no holiness in the Shema reciter's 4 Amos camp. The Gemara discusses another case of passing excrement. Amar Rapapa said, Pichazir, the mouth of a hog, Kitzal Veras Dami, is like passing excrement. The Gemara asks, Pshita, this is obvious, and as much as excrement is always to be found in the mouth of a hog. The Gemara answers, this teaching is not necessary except to teach that the contents of a hog's mouth are likened to passing excrement, even though the hog has just emerged from a river. Rapapa teaches that a hog's mouth is a perpetual repository of excrement and it can never be washed absolutely clean. The Gemara now discusses cases of doubt. Amar Rav Yehuda said, Safek Torah Surah, possible excrement nearby is prohibited, i.e. prohibits one from saying Shema or praying opposite it. Safek Meiraglayim Mutarim, whereas possible urine nearby is not prohibited. Another version of the above, Ikada Amri, there are those who say that Rav Yehuda's teaching went as follows. Amar Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda said, Safek Torah Ba'is Mutaris, possible excrement in a house is not prohibited. Ashba Surah, whereas possible excrement in a trash heap is prohibited. Safek Meiraglayim Afilu Ba'ashbanami Mutarin, however, possible urine even in a trash heap is not prohibited. The Gemara explains the reason for the distinction between the urine and excrement. Savala, Kihad Rav Hamnuna. Rav Yehuda holds like the statement of Rav Hamnuna. The Amar Rav Hamnuna from Rav Hamnuna said, Lo Asra Torah, the Torah did not prohibit the recital of the Shema and Shemona Esrei in the presence of urine, Ela K'neged Amud Bilvad, except opposite the stream of urine alone, Rabbi Yonasan, and it is in accordance with the derivation of Rabbi Yonasan. The Rabbi Yonasan Rami, for Rabbi Yonasan noted a contradiction. Ksiv, it is written in one verse, V'yatia l'cha michutz l'machana v'yatzasa shama chutz. You shall have a place outside the camp, and you too shall go out to relieve yourself. Here no mention is made of covering the waste product with sieve, and it is written in the following verse, V'yasei tia l'cha, you shall have a shovel, V'chisisa aseyasech, and you shall cover your evacuations. Haketzad, how is this? How do we reconcile the two verses? 25a4. Kambigdolim, we must say that here in the second verse we are dealing with excrement, and we are taught that it must be covered outside the camp, since sometimes people hold Torah discussions while walking there. Kambigtanim, and here in the first verse we are dealing with urine, and we are taught that urine need not be covered outside the camp. Alma, thus we see from the fact that urine need not be covered, Ketanim lo asro Torah el keneged amud bavad, that the Torah did not prohibit the recital of holy matters in the presence of urine except opposite the stream alone. Having established Rav Hamnuna's ruling through Rabbi Yonasan's elucidation of the two verses, we now use that ruling to explain the lenient treatment of urine in Rav Yehuda's statement. Ha naful ara, but by implication, if urine has already fallen to the ground, shari, it is biblically permitted to pray in its presence. And it is the rabbis who decreed on it a prohibition against doing so. And when did the rabbis decree this prohibition on it? Bevadan, in cases of certainty as to the urine's presence. However, in cases of doubt, as to its presence, they did not decree a prohibition. Praying before excrement, on the other hand, is biblically prohibited, and therefore, when in doubt as to its presence, one must take the stringent path and refrain from the recital of the Shema and Shemona Esrei. The Gemara further discusses urine as an impediment to prayer. Ubevadon, and in cases of certainty as to urine's presence, ad kama, how long can urine remain on the ground and still prevent the recitation of prayer in its vicinity? Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, calls matchamat matpichin, as long as it remains damp enough to moisten anything that touches it. V'chein Amar Rabba bar Bachana Amar Rabbi Yochanan, and so said Rabba bar Bachana in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Calls matchamat matpichin, as long as it remains damp enough to moisten anything that touches it. V'chein Amar Ula calls man shemat pichin, and so said Ula, as long as it remains damp enough to moisten anything that touches it. The Gemara presents a dissenting view. Geniva mishmei de Rav Amar. Geniva said in the name of Rav, calls man sher rishuman nikar. The presence of urine prevents prayer as long as its trace on the ground is discernible. The Gemara objects to Geniva's view. Amar Rabbi Yosef said, Shari le mori legniva, may his master forgive Geniva. Hashatzo Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav. Now, if even concerning excrement, Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Rav, Keva shekarmu panei mutter, that once its surface has become crusted, one is permitted to pray in its vicinity. May raglaim boya, can there be any question that once urine loses its ability to moisten, praying in its presence is permitted? The Gemara defends Geniva's opinion. Amalei Abaye said to Rabbi Yosef, "My chazis the samacht aha." What did you see that you rely on this statement attributed to Rav? Smochahar, rely instead on this following statement attributed to Rav, and hence avoid the difficulty posed to Geniva's opinion. The Amar Rabba bar Rav Huna Amar Rav. For Rabba, the son of Rav Huna, said in the name of Rav, Toa filu kecheres asur, excrement even brittle like earthenware is prohibited. Here Rav is said to hold that excrement prohibits prayer until very late in its drying period. This is compatible with Geniva stating that urine prohibits prayer until the trace vanishes, which coincides with its evaporation. The Gemara inquires as the degrees of dryness implied by brittle as earthenware. And what is a case of excrement as brittle as earthenware? The Gemara answers, Amar Rabba bar Chana Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabba bar Chana said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Kol zman shezorko ve'eino nefrechas, as long as one can throw it and it does not crumble, due to the little moisture it still retains, the excrement is considered brittle as earthenware, and still prohibits praying in its presence. However, if it does crumble when thrown, the excrement is considered mere dust, and one is permitted to pray in its vicinity. Another version of Rabbi Yochanan's statement, V'ikad Amri, there are those who say that Rabbi Yochanan explained as follows: Kol zman shegol ve'eino nefrechas, as long as one can roll it and it does not crumble due to the little moisture it still retains, the excrement is considered brittle as earthenware. However, if it does crumble when being rolled, it is considered the mere dust, and one is permitted to pray in its vicinity. 25a5. The Gemara reports a related incident. Amar Ravina said, I was once standing before Rabbi Yehuda from Difti. Chazot Zoa, when he spotted excrement lying in the vicinity. Amali, Rabbi Yehuda said to me, Ayin I karmu poneo ilo, see whether its surface is crusted or not. Another version of Rabbi Yehuda's remarks, Ikada Amri Hachi Amarle. There are those who say that Rabbi Yehuda said does to Ravina. Ayin miplai paluye, see whether the excrement has developed cracks. The Gemara inquires, My Havela, what is the conclusion of this matter? I.e., when do urine and excrement lose their prohibitive powers? The Gemara answers, Itmar, it was stated Tzorok Acheres, with regard to excrement that is brittle as earthenware, Amemar Amar Asura, Amemar said that it is prohibited, i.e., one may not pray in its presence. Umar Zutra Amar Mutaris, but Mar Zutra said that is prohibited. It is not prohibited. Hence, one may indeed pray in its presence. Amar Rav, and Rav said in deciding the matter, Hilchasa, the law is that Tzol Kecheres Asur, excrement, brittle as earthenware is prohibited. May Raglaim, and urine prohibits prayer. Kolzman She Matpichin, as long as it remains damp enough to moisten anything that touches it. The Gemara challenges Rav's ruling on urine. Meisvei. They challenged this from the following brisa: May Raglaim, with regard to urine, Kolzman She Matpichin Asurin, as long as it remains damp enough to moisten anything that touches it, it is prohibited. Nivlu or yavshu mutar. However, once it is absorbed into the ground or evaporates, it is not prohibited. My love nivlu yavshu. Now, what are the circumstances here? Is it not that the case of absorbed urine is analogous to the case of evaporated urine? My yavshu de'ein rishumanik, or that is to say, just as regarding evaporated urine, the Brisa speaks of where its trace is not discernible. Af nivlu de'ein rishumanik, or so too regarding absorbed urine, the Brisa speaks of where its trace is not discernible. And in both cases, praying is permitted. The Gemara deduces harishuma nikor asur. From this, we may infer that where the urine's trace is discernible, one would be forbidden to pray in its vicinity. Avagav dein matpichin, even though it is not damp enough to moisten anything that touches it, the Brisa does contradict Rabba's ruling, which permitted prayer in the vicinity of urine that was not damp enough to moisten anything that touched it. The Gemara diffuses the challenge. But according to your reasoning that the second part of the Brisa implies that a discernible trace of urine prohibits prayer, Amaresha, consider the first part of the Brisa, which states that Kolzman Shematpichin Hu Da'asr, it is only as long as the urine remains damp enough to moisten anything that touches it that prayer is forbidden. Harishuma Nikr Shari. This statement implies that where, however, the urine has been somewhat absorbed or evaporated and its trace is still discernible, praying is nevertheless permissible. The implication of the first part contradicts the implication of the second. The Gemara thus concludes, rather, one cannot infer a proof or disproof of Rav's ruling from this brisa. The Gemara considers whether the case of a discernible trace of urine was debated by Tanai. Lemikatanai, shall we say that this question of a discernible trace's prohibitive power is like the following dispute between Tanai? For we have learned in a brisa, regarding a vessel from which urine was spilled. Also, likros kriya shema kenegdo. One is forbidden to recite the shema opposite it. Raglayim atzman shenishbachu, and regarding urine itself that's spilled, nivlu mutar. If it is absorbed into the ground, one is permitted to pray in its vicinity. Lo nivlu asur. But if it is not absorbed, one is forbidden to pray in its vicinity. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi says, Kolzman shematpichin, as long as the urine remains damp enough to moisten anything that touches it, one is forbidden to pray in its vicinity. However, urine of a lesser degree of moisture, even though its trace is discernible, cannot prohibit prayer. The Gemara analyzes the debate. My nivlu, my lo nivlu, the karma tanakama. What precisely are the conditions of it is absorbed and it is not absorbed? Which the Tanakama mentioned as determining whether the urine retains its prohibitive power. If we say that it is absorbed, means that the urine can no longer moisten anything that touches it. Lo nivlu de matpichin, and that it is not absorbed means that the urine is sufficiently damp that it does moisten anything that touches it, and only then does the urine retain its prohibitive power. And then in reaction to this, Rabbi Yossi comes to say that it is only 25a6. As long as the urine remains damp enough to moisten anything that touches it, that one is forbidden to pray in its vicinity. Harishuman Nikrashari, which implies that if the urine is not that damp, even though its trace is discernible, one is permitted to pray in its vicinity. This cannot be Hainu Tanakama, for according to this interpretation of the Brisa, Rabbi Yossi's opinion is the same as expressed by the Tanakama. Ela nivlu dein rishuma nikar. Rather, we must say that the case of it is absorbed is where the urine became so absorbed that its trace is not discernible. Only under these circumstances may one pray in its vicinity according to the Tanakama. Lo nivlu derishuma nikar. Accordingly, it is not absorbed means that its trace is discernible. According to the Tanakama, this is a dampness sufficient to prohibit praying. But for Rabbi Yossi L'meimer, and in reaction to this, Rabbi Yossi comes to say that it is only as long as the urine remains damp enough to moisten anything it touches that one is forbidden to pray in its vicinity. Harishuma nikar shari, which implies that if the urine is not that damp, even though its trace is discernible, one is nonetheless permitted to pray. Thus, the question of whether a discernible trace of urine can prohibit prayer is the subject of a Tanaic debate. The Tanakama holds that it can, while Rabbi Yossi holds that it cannot. The Gemara rejects this explanation of the dispute. Lo, this is not correct. The Chuli Alma calls Mancha Matpichan Udasur. Rather, according to everyone, i.e. the Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi, it is only as long as the urine remains damp enough to moisten anything it touches that one is forbidden to pray in its vicinity. Harishuman Nikushari. But if the urine is not that damp, even though its trace is discernible, one is permitted to pray there. We are in Chav Hei Amud Beis, 25b1. And here the question of whether urine, in order to be prohibitive, must be able to moisten one thing, so that that thing is able to moisten something else, is at issue between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi. Hence, the prohibitive power of a discernible trace of urine is not the subject of their debate. The Gemara now turns to the part of the Mishnah that states, Yared litbol im yochel alus. If he descended to immerse himself in the mikvah, and the time to recite Shema arrived, if he is able to ascend from the mikvah and cover himself and recite Shema before the sun rises, he should do so. And if he is unable to do so, then he should cover himself with the water and recite Shema. The Gemara considers whether this Mishnah assumes the premise that the morning Shema may be recited only until sunrise. Lemitana's stomach, Rabbi Elazar, shall we say that Rabbi has taught here an anonymous ruling in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Elazar, the Amar Adanei Techama, who says that the morning Shema may be recited only until sunrise? The Gemara concludes, Afilu Tamer Rabbi Shua, you can even say that our Mishnah accords with Rabbi Shua, who says that the morning Shema may be recited until the end of 3 hours. The Dilma Kivasikin, as our Mishnah perhaps refers to one who conducts himself like the devoted ones. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan, for Rabbi Yochanan said, Vasikin hayu gomrin also imanei tzachama, the devoted ones would finish the recitation of Shema with the rising of the sun. The Gemara now focuses on the Mishnah statement. And if he does not have time to leave the mikvah, clothe himself and recite the Shema before sunrise, then he should cover himself with the water and recite the Shema. The Gemara asks, but his heart sees the nakedness. How then can he recite the Shema? The Gemara answers, Rabbi Elazar said, V'tem Rabbi Acha Baracha, and others say that it was Rabbi Acha Baracha who said it, Mishum Rabbeinu, in the name of our master. The Mayim Machurim Shanu, the Mishnah refers to cloudy waters. The Damu Ka'aras Michta, which are deemed to be similar to thick ground. Shalo Yira Libo Ravaso, so that it is considered that his heart does not see his nakedness. The Gemara cites a relevant brisa. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught in a brisa, Mayim Slulan, in the case of clear water, Yeshiv Behen Atzavor V'Kor, he may sit in them up to his neck and recite the Shema. V'yeshom Okron Baraglav. But others say that he must first cloud the water by churning with his feet. The Gemara asks the Tanakama, but how does the Tanakama allow him to recite the Shema without first clouding the water? Why his heart sees the nakedness, since both are submerged in the water in which he sits up to his neck? The Gemara answers, he, the Tanakama, holds that reciting Shema while one's heart sees the nakedness is permitted. The Gemara asks, but still, how can the Tanakama permit him to recite the Shema without clouding the water? Why his heel sees the nakedness. Or in 25b2. The Gemara answers, Kasavar Akevo Roy Soever Mutter. He, the Tanakama, also holds that reciting Shema while one's heel sees the nakedness is permitted. The Gemara continues its discussion of these laws. Itmar, it was said, Akevo Roy Soever Mutter, reciting Shema when one's heel sees the nakedness is permitted. Nogea, if the heel touches the nakedness, Abaya Amar Asur. Abaya says that it is forbidden to recite Shema. Rava Amar Mutter. But Rava says it is permitted. The Gemara notes that the above is but one version of the dispute between Abaya and Rava. Rav Zvid Masni Lalaha Shmata Hachi does, as just presented, does Rav Zvid teach this discussion between Abaya and Rava. Rav Chinana Bereda Rav Ika Masni Lahachi. However, Rav Chinana, the son of Rav Ika, teaches it as follows: Nogea, if the heel touches the nakedness, the Vihakol also. The opinion of all is that one is forbidden to recite Shema. Roa, if it merely sees the nakedness, Abaya says that it is forbidden to recite Shema. Rava Amar Motiv. Rava says that it is permitted. Lo nidna Torah l'malchei asharis. The Torah was not given to the ministering angels. The Gemara rules on this matter. The halacha is that Nogea also reciting Shema when the heel touches the nakedness is forbidden. Roa Mota, when it merely sees the nakedness, it is permitted to recite the Shema. The Gemara draws a distinction between the requirements of separation from excrement and the like when reciting Shema and those of separation from nakedness. Amar Rava said, Tzoba Ashashis, if excrement is enclosed in a transparent material, Moto Likros Kriya Shema Kenegdo, it is permitted to recite the Shema opposite. However, if nakedness is enclosed in a transparent material, also Likros Kriya Shema Kenegdo, it is forbidden to recite the Shema opposite it. The Gemara explains the distinction. If excrement is enclosed in a transparent material, it is permitted to recite the Shema opposite it. The tzoak b'kisui talia milsa, because with regard to reciting Shema in the process of excrement, the matter depends on covering, v'ham mikasya, and indeed, the excrement is covered by the transparent material. Therefore, one may recite Shema opposite it. Ever b'ashashus also likros kriya Shema kenegdo. If, however, nakedness is enclosed in a transparent material, it is forbidden to recite the Shema opposite it. V'lo yira b'cha evas davar amar rachmana, because and he shall not see in you a matter of nakedness, is what the merciful one has said in the Torah. And indeed, the nakedness is visible even when covered with a transparent material. Therefore, it is forbidden to recite the Shema opposite it. Other rulings concerning reciting Shema, or praying, or even thinking Torah thoughts in the presence of excrement. Abaya said, if there is a minute amount of excrement present, mevatla barot, one can nullify it by covering it with spittle. Rava qualified Abaya's permit and said, Ubarokava, and the permit applies only if one covers the excrement with thick spittle. Rava said, if there is excrement in a hole in the ground, maniach sandolo olev akora kriya Shema, one may place a sandal on top of the hole and thus recite the Shema. An inquiry regarding this last ruling. Ba'amar Bered Ravina, Mar, the son of Ravina, inquired, the vuka besandolo mai, if the excrement is pressed against his sandal, what is the law? The Gemara concludes, teku, let the matter stand unresolved. 25b3. Another ruling. Amr Rav Yehuda said, Ovid kachavim orum asur likros kriya Shema kenegdo. It is forbidden to recite the Shema opposite a naked idolater. The Gemara asks, my area Ovid kachavim, why does the Rav Yehuda mention idolater in his ruling? Afil Yisrael Nami, even if the naked person opposite him is a Jew. It is also forbidden to recite the Shema opposite him. The Gemara answers Yisrael Pshita Leidos. In the case of a Jew, it is clear to Rabbi Yehuda that it is forbidden to recite the Shema opposite his nakedness, and there was no need for him to teach it. But the prohibition against reciting the Shema opposite the nakedness of an idolater was necessary for him to teach us. For you might have said, that since it is written concerning them whose flesh is the flesh of donkeys, say that the naked idolater is like a mere donkey with regard to reciting words of Torah opposite him. Kamash Malan, therefore, Rabbi Yehuda informs us that it is forbidden to recite the Shema opposite the nakedness of a Gentile. The inu nami yikru erva, for the genitals of non-Jews too are called nakedness by the Torah. The chsiv erva saviyim lo ro, for it is written in the incident concerning Noah and his sons, and the nakedness of their father they did not see. The Gemara now turns to that part of the Mishnah which states, Lo yiskase, but one should not cover himself. Lo b'mayim haroim v'lo b'mei mishra. Neither in putrid waters, nor in the steeping waters of flax or canvas, which gives off a foul odor, until he pours into them clean waters. The Gemara asks, V'kama maya rami v'azel, but how much water will he go on pouring? The Gemara answers, El hachikama, rather this is what the Mishnah means to say. Lo yiskase lo b'mayim haroim v'lo b'mei mishra klal. One should not cover himself neither in putrid waters, nor in the steeping waters of flax or canvas altogether. Since he cannot possibly add enough clean water to nullify the foul odor. Umei raglayim, and where there is a vessel containing a small amount of urine in one's vicinity, he must wait. Until he pours into it clean water. V'yikra, whereupon he can recite Shema. The Gemara discusses the amount of water needed to neutralize urine. Tanarabana, the rabbis taught in the Brisa, Kama yotel l'tochan mayim. How much water must he pour into it in urine in order to recite Shema in its vicinity? Koshu, any amount, even the smallest amount of water suffices. Reb Zakkai says, Revius, one must pour at least a Revius of water in it. So note 30 explains that it's approximately 5 ounces. The Gemara elaborates, Rav Nachman said, Machlokas l'basof, the dispute between the Tana Kama and Rav Zakkai is with regard to where the urine is already in the vessel and the water is poured in afterwards. Only then does Rav Zakkai require a revius, aval batchila kol shehem. But if the water is poured into the vessel first and the urine is introduced afterwards, all agree, even Rav Zakkai, that any amount of water is sufficient to legally neutralize the urine. An alternative explanation of the dispute, Rav Yosef Amar, Rav Yosef says, Machlokas l'chatchila. The dispute between the Tana Kama and Rav Zakkai is with regard 25b4 to where the water is poured in first. Aval basof divrei hakol revius. But if the water is poured in afterwards, then all agree, even the Tana Kama, that a revius is necessary. The Gemara relates Rav Yosef's practice. Amalei Rav Yosef l'shamai. Rav Yosef said to his attendant, Aisili reviosa demaya Reb Zakkai. Bring me a revius of water to pour into the vessel in accordance with the opinion of Reb Zakkai. The Gemara cites some related rulings. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught in the Brisa, Graf shel avit shel mei raglayim. If a chamber pot used for excrement or a chamber pot used for urine is present, also likros kriya Shema kenegdon, it is forbidden to recite the Shema opposite them. The Afa Pishain Ban Klum, even though there is nothing in them. Umiraglayim Atzman, and with regard to urine itself, which is in a vessel that is not reserved for use as a urinal, it is forbidden to recite the Shema opposite it only. Until one pours water into it. The Kama Yotel Tochan Mayim, and how much water must he pour into it? Kolshu, any amount suffices. Reb Zakkai Omer, Reb Zakkai said, Revius, one must pour at least a revius of water into it. The Brisa continues. Bein lefnei amita, bein la'achar amita. These laws apply whether the problematic container is situated in front of the bed, so that nothing is intervening between the person and the container, or whether it is situated behind the bed, so that the bed intervenes between the person and the container, for the bed does not constitute a valid partition. Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, or Shimon ben Gamliel says, La'achar amita kore. The container is situated behind the bed, one may recite Shema, for the bed serves as a partition. Lefnei amita eina kore. If the container is situated in front of the bed, one may not recite the Shema there. But he must first move away 4 amos from the container and only then recite the Shema. Reb Shimon ben Elazar Omer, Reb Shimon ben Elazar says, Afilu bayis mea ama, even in a house with an area of 100 amos, lo yikra ach yotzim o sheyanichim tachas amita, one may not recite Shema until he removes them, the chamber pots, from the house or places them under the bed. The Gemara considers the meaning of Reb Shimon ben Gamliel's statement, but he must move away 4 amos. They inquired, what does Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel mean to say when he stipulates, but he must move away 4 amos and recite? Is this condition referring back to the first case behind the bed, or the second in front of the bed? In other words, does he mean, when the container is behind the bed, he may recite Shema immediately, but if it is in front of the bed, then he must first move away 4 amos and only then recite Shema. Or perhaps the following is what he means to say. If the container is behind the bed, he must first move away 4 amos and only then recite Shema. But if the container is in front of the bed, he may not recite Shema at all. The Gemara resolves the inquiry. Tashma, come learn. A proof from the following. The Tanya, for it was taught in a different brisa. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Omer, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says, Achramita kor miyad. If a chamber pot or similar container is situated behind the bed, one may recite the Shema immediately. Lefnei amita marchik arba amos. If it is in front of the bed, he must first move away 4 amos and only then recite Shema. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, Afilu bayis mea ama, even in a house with an area of 100 amos, lo yikra ach yotzim o sheyanichim tachas amita. One may not recite Shema until he removes them, the chamber pots, from the house, or until he places them under the bed. The way this brisa cites the first view, there is no ambiguity. Clearly, the moving away 4 amos refers to where the container is in front of the bed. But if it is behind the bed, one may recite the Shema immediately. We are in 25b5. The Gemara notes, Bayan of Shitalan. It is true that our inquiry has been resolved for us. Masniyasa kashana adadi. However, the 2 brises contradict each other in the matter of which the 2 views was held by Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel and which was held by Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. The Gemara answers, Epoch Batraisa, reverse the attributions of the latter brisa so that this latter brisa is amended to read that Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel holds the first view and Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar the second view, as part of their respective opinions are recorded in the first brisa. The Gemara asks, Ma chazis da'apach basraisa. What indication do you see that prompts you to reverse attributions in the latter brisa? Epoch kamaisa. Why not reverse the attributions in the first brisa instead? The Gemara answers, Man shamat le the amar kuli bayis ka'arba amos damei. about whom have you heard that he says that the entire house is considered as comprising an area of 4 amas? Reb Shimon ben Elazar. It is the view of Reb Shimon ben Elazar. It is therefore appropriate to reverse the attribution in the latter brisa, so that Reb Shimon ben Elazar is in conformity with his view that the house, no matter how large, is viewed as an area of 4 amas. The brisa stated that a chamber pot under the bed is viewed as covered. The Gemara inquires about the conditions necessary for this ruling to apply. Amar Rav Yosef said, I inquired of Rav Huna as follows. Mita pachos mishlosha. In the case of a bed less than 3 tefachim high, i.e. the distance from the ground to the underside of the bed is less than 3 tefachim, pshitali de chalavu dami. It is clear to me that the underside of the bed, is considered as extending all the way to the ground, so that the chamber pot underneath it is deemed to be completely enveloped by the bed. Regarding a bed this height, I have nothing to inquire about. Shlosha arba chamisha shisha shiva shmona tishamau. But what is the law regarding a chamber pot placed under a bed that is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 tefachim high? Amali, Rav Huna replied to me, Lo Yadana, I do not know what the law is in those cases. Asar vada lo mi bayali. Rav Yosef continued to relate. But what the law is, if the bed is 10 tefachim high, was certainly not a matter of inquiry to me. For since it is so high off the ground, it certainly cannot be viewed as covering the chamber pot that is underneath. Therefore, I did not ask Rav Huna about a bed that high. Amar Abaye said to Rav Yosef, Shaper avad delo yiboilach. You did well by not inquiring about a bed that high from Rav Huna. Kol asara reshusa achritihi. For anything that is 10 tefachim or higher is considered a separate domain. Thus, a bed that high certainly cannot be viewed as enveloping that which is underneath. The Gemara presents the halacha with regard to the above matters. Amar Rava said, the halacha is that if the height of the bed is less than 3 tefachim, it is considered as extending to the ground and is deemed a covering of the chamber pot underneath, as Rav Yosef said. Asara reshus achritihi. If the bed is 10 tefachim or higher, it is deemed a separate domain, as Abaye said. B'shlosha adasar, if the bed is between 3 and 10 tefachim high. Hainu debar minei Rav Yosef Rav Huna. This is what Rav Yosef inquired of from Rav Huna, below Pashat lay, and Rav Huna did not resolve it from him. Amar Rav said, Halacha Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. The halacha follows Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, who says that Shema may not be recited in the entire house if an exposed chamber pot is present. V'chein Amar Bali Amar Rav Yaakov Barad Bas Shmuel, and so did Bali say in the name of Rav Yaakov, the son of Shmuel's daughter. Halacha Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. The halacha follows Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar in this matter. Rava Amar, but Rava says, Ein halacha Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. The halacha does not follow Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar in this matter. The Gemara now discusses the related matter of covering or erecting a partition in front of a Torah scroll in a bedchamber. Ravacha Yasipli Livrei Beirav Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Marta. Ravacha arranged a match for his son with the daughter of Rav Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Marta. Ravacha led his son to the bridal chamber of Lohavim style Milsa, but the matter was not successful. Ozal Basrei La Yune, so Ravacha went in after him to investigate the reason for his son's difficulty. Chazal Sefer Torah de Mancha, and he saw a Torah scroll that was lying there in the room. Amalahu, when he came out, he said to them, Iku hashtalo asois sakantum levri. If now I had not come, you would have endangered the life of my son. The Tanya, for it was taught in a brayso, Bayis sheish bo Sefer Torah, tefillin also l'shamash bo asamita. In a house that contains a Torah scroll or tefillin, one is forbidden to engage in marital relations. Achiyotze yem oshi yanichem kli b'toch kli, until he takes them out or places them in a receptacle within a receptacle. 25b6. The Gemara qualifies the above ruling. Amar Abaye said, Lo shanu ela b'chli she'eino kilyan. The ruling of the Brisa requiring two receptacles was not taught except when the sacred article was placed in a receptacle that is not the usual receptacle of the sacred article. Only then does a double receptacle suffice. But in the case of a receptacle that is their usual receptacle, and even 10 of those receptacles, one inside the other, are like one single receptacle. And a second receptacle is still required. Rava validates the following as a double covering. Rava said, glima, a cloak. We're at the top of 26a1. A kamtara draped over a cabinet in which the holy books are kept. Kli b'toch kli is considered like a receptacle within a receptacle. Thank you for joining me. We just finished Daf Yomi, page 25. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and share. And let me know if you have any questions or comments. Thanks again. I hope to see you next time.